Hi, my name is Tim Meunier, and I'm the Director of Music Ministries here at the First United Methodist Church in Jackson, Michigan. And this is Food for Thought. If you know anything about me at all, then you know that I'm an avid gardener. There have been many times in my life where I've needed to center myself and be close to God, and I do this by being close to the wonderful gift of His creation. So let me tell you about one of my favorite house plants. It's a jade plant. This plant used to sit on the shelf of my desk in my dorm while I was a student at Westminster Choir College in Princeton, New Jersey. So if you do the math, this jade is well over 43 years old. I've had this plant for over 2/3 of my life. Even as large as my hands are, I can't fit my hand around the trunk of this plant. But after 43 years of tending to this beloved old plant, it seems to be dying. So far, it has dropped 2/3 of its growth. Now, if there's one thing that I know, it's that being a gardener requires patience. Lots and lots of patience. Nothing happens overnight. You plant a seed and you wait for it to germinate. That can take 3 days or it can take 10 days. And when it does, you sit back and you watch it grow, but tending to its every need. So I can be the most patient person in my garden. So why doesn't that carry through to the rest of my life? My boys would laugh if they heard me being described as patient. So in one final effort to revive my poor old jade plant, I thought that I would transplant it to some fresh potting soil. Now, a jade is a succulent, and succulents need a specific kind of soil. So I drove out to the Hobbit place thinking for sure that they would have it. They had everything else you could possibly want, but the specific potting mix. So I drove out to Lowe's and was surprised by the line of people waiting just to be allowed in the store. This is the new normal. Not having nearly the amount of patience I needed, I turned on my heels and walked back to my car. Standing in line is something that I'm simply not patient enough to do. So I tried my luck at Home Depot, only to find the same thing. Finally, in frustration, I headed back home and wondered how much longer this poor jade could hang on. As I got close to home, I decided to give it one last try, and I stopped in at Ace Hardware. I really didn't expect that my chances would be too great to find this specific potting soil at Ace. There was still a line, but not too bad, so I gave in and I stood in line. And while there, I thought back to a book that I just read a while ago. It's called The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. It was set during World War II in occupied France. I read of the hours spent in long lines that the women stood in just to procure a loaf of old bread or a few turnips or some fatty meat for their family. I, am way too quick to be impatient and put out by having to wait in line. We are all inconvenienced by the way we are having to live our lives right now. We focus on how this is changing the way we do things. Our minds are set on all the things that have been taken away from us. Rather than focusing on all that we can't do and have, it is far better to focus on all that we can do and still have. I'd like to share a poem with you. It's by Helen Stainer Rice, entitled "Count Your Gains and Not Your Losses." As we travel down life's busy road, complaining of our heavy load, we often think God's been unfair and given us much more than our share of daily irritations and disappointing tribulations. We're discontented with our lot and all the bad breaks that we've got. We count our losses, not our gain, and remember only tears and pain. The good things we forget completely. When God looked down and blessed us sweetly, our troubles filled our every thought. We dwell upon lost goals and sought, and wrapped up in all our despair, we have no time to see or share another's load that far outweighs our little problems and dismays. And so we walk with head held low, and little do we guess or know that someone near us on life's street is burdened deeply with defeat. But if we but forget our care and stop in sympathy to share the burden that our brother carried, our mind and our heart would be less harried, and we would feel our load was small. In fact, we carried no load at all. Friends, there are many things to be stressed about right now. Many are without jobs to support their family. Many are dealing with health emergencies. We're separated from our loved ones. Many lives have been lost. I hope that your loads and burdens are light. Know that there are many who carry heavier loads and bigger burdens than you do. Maybe we should be asking, what can we do to lighten their load and ease their burden? Certainly standing in a line to find potty mix for my poor old Jade is not something to be irritated or impatient about. Surprisingly, I did find the potting soil that I needed at Ace, and I hope that it has a continued long life ahead of it. But if not, I'll put it into perspective. It seems that right now, putting our irritations into perspective would be a very good thing. I wish you patience and good health. Thanks.